It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. It's time for I whooped Sean Ross Sapp's ass in fantasy football this week.
Oh yeah, you did. Also,
Uh,
about them Cowboys.
yeah. Oh my goodness. Jeff may have taken the week off solely because of how bad the Lions laid the smack down on Dallas this weekend.
Oh, dude, he knew I would talk shit too. He knew
I
I had
mean,
that on standby.
we can always, when he comes back, the season is still ongoing, so we can still make fun of him. I'm just adjusting my screen at the moment. To be better.
But it's been a busy week in the NFL since Sunday.
Oh yeah.
Very much. By the way, Greg Cherry, Matty Laws, and Zach Nelson joining us for this broadcast. Also, behind me is something we haven't had in a bit.
It's the wheel.
It's the wheel. So get those super chats in because it has been a hell of a week in the last few days. Just in the last few days, it's been a hell of a year the last 4 days. But yeah, $10. Link is on the screen, or it should be. It's in the chat. But it didn't share. But yeah, Maddie, go ahead and talk about football while I'm setting this up.
Well, should we start with the high or should we start with the downright low? Fuck it. Let's start with the downright low. We saw someone's career potentially end.
Yeah, Aiden Hutchison taking probably one of the
level. That's a Theismann level leg break, bro.
Oh, it was. I saw the clip, and as somebody who has broken their leg before, it's absolutely nasty to watch.
You could hear it snap from the commentary booth.
Yeah, it was not a good thing.
Daniel says, upset we lost Hutchinson for the rest of the season, but my Lions pride is still strong. As it should be, because you guys decided to maul the Cowboys because of it.
Yeah. And there was a lot of talk of whether or not it was a mistake to keep the starters in the game when they were up so much. So there's some criticism there. But that being said, I'll tell you what, leg breaks are no joke, especially one of that level. It makes me think of the injury that Nick Chubb suffered last season. It wasn't necessarily a leg break, but it was a nasty leg injury.
Damn near separated the lower half of his leg from the upper half of his leg.
Yeah, and I believe Nick Chubb is just now. That happened week 2 of last season. Nick Chubb is just now this week, I think, going to start for the Browns.
Getting cleared, getting activated.
Yeah. So it's very much. We know these kind of injuries can happen. You just never want to see them actually happen.
No.
So,
and I didn't even know that Shaheed had a meniscus injury. Did he not? Did he go out last week with an injury?
That one I'm not sure about. I would have to check
out in the middle of the third quarter.
Okay, because I know you guys lost Olave early due to a concussion, so you guys are without Olave and Shaheed. Who the fuck are you guys throwing the ball to?
Mason and Bub Means.
If there's
the University of Pittsburgh, so
wait, that was a legitimate name?
Yeah. Oh yeah. But no, back to the Aiden thing. That injury reminded me of, I think, Greg, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago when Gordon Hayward got his leg broken in that opening game for Boston.
Oh, I know the exact one you're talking about for the Celtics, yeah.
How his leg was is exactly how Aiden's leg was. And that was just horrific.
Um,
My co-host said the first thing that came to his mind when he saw the actual image of the broken leg, first thing that came to his mind was Psycho Sid.
Ooh.
Another injury that I will refuse to watch. I saw enough of the leg going the wrong way for me to be like, nope, absolutely not.
Yeah,
Not going to finish this.
Your shin should never bend in the shape of a question mark.
No, absolutely not. And for the record, I was not familiar with the Boston injury because I don't follow the NBA. It's not
it was a bad one. It was a bad one.
I believe it based on the description alone, and having seen Aiden Hutchinson's injury this past weekend, I can imagine. But yes, a lot of stuff happened in the world of football. Pittsburgh Steelers are 4-2. Denver Broncos aren't.
Hey, who's getting the start for you this week, my friend?
That's something I want to talk about too, and it's been very much questioned because Justin Fields is certainly the hot hand right now, or really the hot leg.
He has 10 touchdowns and 1 interception on the season.
Yeah, his stats are actually pretty solid for maintaining. Like, the Steelers are not what you would call an explosive offense, but the Steelers are an offense that is superior to what Matt Canada had to bring to the table, which I could have done that. And B, actually being able to somewhat come from behind if necessary. The Matt Canada offense, and it was stated multiple times by him while he was employed, the Steelers offense is not built to come from behind.
Mm-mm.
And if you're behind, it's over. Like, there's no hope whatsoever. What kind of mentality is that for a coach?
Now, what I don't understand about this whole move is you said that, the Steelers aren't an explosive offense.
Correct.
They're a much more explosive offense with Justin Fields at quarterback, I feel.
Let me put it this way. Steelers are not a
This is better with Justin Fields there.
they're not a wowing offense like a Kansas City or a Buffalo Bills or a Detroit Lions. They're not that kind of offense. I think that was more my point. They can get the job done, but they don't like. Although Najee Harris this past Sunday against the Raiders was pretty wow. The runs that he put up, that 15-yard run before his touchdown run, where he was just mowing over people, that was a thing of beauty. But I question the decision to. Now, it's not officially confirmed that Russell Wilson is going to start. He's going to take first. He's going to take first team reps. But my thing is, if Justin Fields is doing this well with this offense already, especially with the toughest part of the schedule yet to come in the second half after the bye week, why are we turning away from him now? I understand Russell Wilson is the veteran. Russell Wilson does have a Super Bowl ring. Yes, those days are long past, though. That was, 10 years ago that he won his Super Bowl?
A little longer, because 10 years ago we won our Super Bowl. So
okay, so 12 years ago. Either way, the point still stands. It's been at least a decade. So I question the decision on that part. And that's not to say that Russell Wilson can't get the job done. He's obviously a talented quarterback. My problem is with Justin Fields doing as well as he's doing with this offense, getting in the rhythms, to mess them up 2 weeks before their bye week by changing to Russell Wilson's cadences and whatnot. Is that going to upset the flow of the offense? Because, again, we don't want it to be a situation like last season, like the season before, like pretty much any season since Ben Roethlisberger left, where you have a quarterback in there and he's just not getting the job done. And then Mike Tomlin, I understand, never had a losing season. We've heard that. We beat that to death over the course of this show at the very least. But he's very stubborn as the head coach. He will force a square peg into a round hole and somehow pull out a 9-8 season. at the very least. It's you get frustrated trying to question his methods because he's never had a losing season, and he does have the Super Bowl ring, but that was 15 years ago.
Yeah,
We can't.
one ring in almost 20 years of being head coach.
That said, there are a lot of coaches who coach for 20, 25 years that don't have any.
Yes, but they bounce around. They don't ever stay in one spot.
True.
Tomlin is like the anomaly there because he's getting all those 9 and 8 seasons, all those 7 seasons. He's able to keep, that going because the standard is the standard, and he hasn't had a losing season. That's the only reason that in 20 years he hasn't moved from where he's at.
Yeah. And I feel like, listen, if I'm wrong, I'll admit that I'm wrong. If Russell Wilson blows the doors off of the Jets on Sunday, or then
Jets?
Yeah, we're facing the New York Jets.
Oh, no, they just got Devontae Adams. I don't think you go win that game.
But isn't Devontae still hurt?
He's gonna play. He's gonna
that
play.
Hamstring, that hamstring mighty finally healed by the time he got out of Vegas.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's convenient how that works.
Well, of course.
And not to mention that Rodgers had 200-yard receivers last week. He just got his favorite target back, and he had 200-yard receivers last week. He's got 3 very dangerous weapons at wide receiver on top of Breece Hall.
But we also have to take into account that the Bills' defense is not the Steelers' defense.
Oh no.
We've got to take that into account.
And that offensive line let Rodgers get hit a lot last Sunday.
Oh yeah.
And TJ Watt's hungry. You better believe it. Cam Hayward too.
Even though that Hail Mary was fantastic.
Rodgers, he's got to be the Hail Mary king. If he's like, that was ridiculous. How many of those has he completed in his career?
4 50-plus yard Hail Marys that have been completed. His longest being that one against Detroit, where I think he threw it 64 yards.
Mm-hmm. To win that game, yeah, I remember that.
I think it was Rodgers to Rodgers, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers to Richard Rodgers, yep. Good stuff. So, Maddie.
The NFC North is very dangerous right now.
It is. And the NFC North is looking like the AFC North did last year, because the AFC North, every single team finished above 500. NFC North is like that right now. So
the Bears.
I've given Caleb Williams a lot of flack before the season began. Okay?
You were giving it to Caleb. You were giving it to the media.
I was giving it to the media, but some of that, like he caught some strays there. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams, the last few weeks.
Notre Dame over everything. That's
exactly. God country Notre Dame. But I have to give Caleb Williams credit where it's due. The Bears are 4-2. They've done pretty well. Caleb Williams has put up good numbers. I still don't want to have to eat shit and have to wear USC jersey, so I have to root against the Bears naturally, at least this season. But again, no USC quarterback has ever made the Super Bowl in the history of the Super Bowl, and which is almost 60 years.
How many good defenses he really played, though? Let's be honest here.
That's also a point that was brought up, that the Bears have not.
Let me see the last few games, because I want to say they've had 2 at least good defenses that they've played.
Which might have been the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's only 2 weeks. But
Well, actually, no, not the first 2 weeks, because the Bears or the Titans kind of gave that game away.
by the way, Amari Cooper going from Cleveland over to Buffalo.
Buffalo, yeah.
Has Jerry Jeudy as their number 1 wide receiver.
Yep. Hence the title of this show. At least we're not the Browns.
Would you give the damn ball to Jameis Winston already? Oh,
The only top level defense that the Bears have played this year was the Texans, and they put up 13 points on the Texans.
The Texans,
To be
that
fair,
game,
the defense is also up there, like top 5 in the NFL right now.
yeah. So, yeah, that's where I stand on Caleb Williams. I was very critical his first 2 weeks, especially because the Bears' offense in week 1 didn't even put up 150 yards of offense the entire game. The following week, he threw 2 or 3 picks, and after that, I've laid off him. I learned my lesson by getting yelled at by Ryan Leaf, so it is what it is.
Hey, we got an exciting game for Chicago this Sunday, though. They're going to Washington to play the Commies.
That will be fun.
Versus Jaden.
ooh.
That will be a fun one. Is that an afternoon game or is that a?
Yep, it's 2:25. I think it's might be the game of the week. I'm not sure. So it might be the Fox game of the week.
Yeah, that makes sense. Fox game of the week. Yeah, that a lot of stuff. Oh yeah, I feel like that's going to be a shootout at the very least, or maybe Washington will just run roughshod over Chicago, and I can laugh and make fun of them.
Washington's been running roughshod over everybody.
Yeah, the Commanders have been doing surprisingly very well, and they're taking no prisoners as a result.
Mm-hmm.
They're winning the NFC East.
Yeah, and I had that predicted at the beginning of the preseason. I had money down on that since the beginning of the year.
Hey, speaking of money, go me for hitting my first parlay on Sunday.
It's
about time.
I'm just so upset that Sunday night game didn't hit for you, especially with the way that it started.
Yeah, let's face it. That one was on me. That one was on me because I thought it was like any kind of touchdown. I didn't see that.
Because if you think about it, Daniel Jones has as good a chance to score a touchdown for the Giants as anybody else on that fucking team.
Yeah.
Besides Malik Nix. I mean,
Yeah.
And
all right, so
this is the concussion season. Like 80% of fantasy players have concussions right now.
my team has been surprisingly healthy, which is nice because Maddie and the league.
Sapp's team, on the other hand.
Okay, listen. I understand Sean's team is held together by duct tape and a half-hearted prayer, but I'll take any win against him that I can because last year he beat me when he didn't even have a player on his team. Like he had a spot missing or something like that. And
Dude, I got my ass beat this week.
in the league that we're in, Maddie, 6-0, baby. I am the only undefeated team left.
Keep going, Greg.
I know. Listen, my draft was solid as fuck.
It really was.
I'm very happy with that draft. Makes me wish that was a money league.
I'm 2-4 on the year. Injuries have plagued the hell out of me.
I'm sitting pretty at 3-3, but I'm just out of like the top 6 due to tiebreakers.
Listen, I'm 3-3 in the Wrestling Media League, and it's a better position than I was in last year. It might be about equal because last season I started 0-3. It was not. There was very little hope for me. This year, there's more hope than I had. So we'll see how that plays out as the season continues. Speaking of football, Broncos Saints tomorrow night on Thursday Night Football. That's the two of you, really. So
I've already got money on that game. If you guys want to hear that parlay,
I do want to hear that parlay.
All right, Bo Nix and Spencer Rattler to throw 2 touchdowns each. Bo Nix and Spencer Rattler to each accumulate 200 passing yards. Alvin Kamara to run for 80. Cortland Sutton to catch for 50. Javonte Williams to run for 50. Kamara touchdown. $3 returns 821.
Whew.
Not a bad parlay.
I also
Tell
have
you what,
I have a lighter-hearted one where each quarterback throws for one. Spencer goes for 175 and 60 yards for Kamara.
how much is the payout on that one?
The lighter one is much more substantially low. It's $5 for 180.
I mean, even still, that's not a bad payout for something that's more reasonable.
Nah. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this game. It's a Thursday. We're coming off of 4 days rest, so hopefully we can carry the momentum from the fourth quarter because that was the only fucking production we had on Sunday.
I'll tell you, there's some interesting games as far as this week. I mean, we got the Lions and the Vikings this weekend. That NFC North showdown is going to be.
I think it's a rivalry week altogether.
Yeah, because I'm seeing Bengals and Browns are playing each other.
Patriots, Jags, that's always kind of a rivalry game.
I'm sure Jags fans think it is, especially after they got screwed the AFC Championship a few years ago.
That's in London too.
Ooh. Niners, Chiefs, Super Bowl repeat.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
The Commanders are going to just demolish the Panthers. So, sorry, Cass.
I thought the
Yeah.
Commanders were playing.
No, the Chicago Bears are actually on bye week this week. So the Bears' next game is the Commanders.
Yeah. Ravens Buccaneers on Monday night. That should be fun.
Game of the week. That really
That's
does.
going to be a lot of running. So if you want to hit a running parlay, smash the running parlay on both sides of that game.
Oh yeah, go Bucky Irving and Derrick Henry, 80+ yards, a touchdown each, and you'd probably be good to throw Lamar Jackson at least 40 rushing yards in there.
Oh yeah,
Possibly.
we gave up 51 points to them.
Listen, Baker Mayfield might be a shootout in that game too. Mayfield has done very well for the Buccaneers, which I'm sure.
The thing with Baker is he has one or the other mentality. I'm either going to throw for 4 touchdowns and 300 yards, or I'm going to throw 3 interceptions and 100 yards. Last week was that weird unicorn where he literally did he did both of those. But Baker might be really good or really bad. I'm expecting it to be really good because Baker in primetime has a really good record.
I mean, do we see Sam Darnold come back to reality this week?
Yeah, everybody was singing the praises of Sam Darnold the first few weeks of the season, and then he became Sam Darnold, another USC quarterback. So we will see. And
The Jets.
yeah, the Jets and Steelers is Sunday night. So yay, I get to listen to Chris Collinsworth.
Ugh.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Listen, I like Mike Tirico. I enjoyed him when he called Notre Dame games. I enjoy him on Sunday night. But Chris Collinsworth, here's a guy that I can't stand.
I have to listen to Al Michaels call my game. I might fall asleep before he does.
If it's anything like the Broncos-Colts game, which I will continually bring up, I blame you for that game, okay?
Dude, I have to apologize to random people on the street because I'll just see someone in a Colts jersey, walk up to him, shake their hand, and go, "I'm so sorry for having to watch that game."
Yeah. If you guys know, you know. Like that game may have been the game I would have turned in my fandom card.
That would have
Like,
been one of the greatest games in NFL history, hands down.
What was the final of that? 15-9 was the final or something like that in overtime?
One of the ugliest scores you've ever seen, too. I think it was 15-9. Let me see.
Listen, at least the Steelers-Miami Mud Bowl game was entertaining because it was such a clusterfuck.
It
The
was
Colts-
12-9 in a game
12-9.
in a game that only field goals were scored, in a game that the two starting quarterbacks were Matt fucking Ryan and Russell fucking Wilson. It was one of the worst football games I've ever had to sit down and watch.
I think when it comes to Russell Wilson potentially starting on Sunday night, this is the kind of stuff we're talking about. We witnessed him in one of the worst modern day football games possibly ever.
I had to watch it for 2 goddamn years where people called him one of the worst quarterbacks in the league while he maintained a top 10 quarterback passing percentage. At the same time, he couldn't get a pass more than 10 yards. I don't think you guys have understood what Russell Wilson has done to me in 2 years.
Oh, look at what my quarterbacks have done to me.
You got a very valid point.
I was going to say, look at what Riley Leonard in the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season. You probably gave me more grays.
Ugh.
Hey, at least you have the greatest Swiss Army knife in all of professional football, Taysom Hill.
Who hasn't played in 3 weeks?
Yeah.
What's his injury, by the way?
It was something with his toe.
Oh, god damn it.
Yeah.
A toe injury keeps him out.
Uh-huh.
Tape it up.
Going back to Ricky Williams with the turf toe. I mean,
Who kept Ricky out for what, 6 weeks?
Yes, it did. So, Greg, I got a question.
I got an answer. Maybe.
Since we're on this whole topic of worst games,
Yeah.
what's the best game you've ever seen?
The best game I've ever seen.
That you were most entertained by?
Well, that might be 2 different ones. The one I was most entertained by is probably Notre Dame USC in 2017, where they won 49-14, or Notre Dame USC last year, where they won 48-20. And just watching Caleb Williams throw 3 picks and score more points for Notre Dame than he did for USC. The greatest game I've ever watched is probably Notre Dame Clemson in 2020, the double overtime game. That was a game that I thought was over in the fourth quarter when pass interference wasn't called and Clemson got the ball back. But then the weird thing happened that Clemson on 3rd down didn't pick up the first down, but also went out of bounds and stopped the clock. Big momentum shift right there.
Oh, yeah.
Which led to Notre Dame going down, scoring a touchdown, and taking the game to overtime. Insane game that was.
What's yours, Matty?
I got to get this one out of the way just for shits and gigs. When the Broncos beat the Steelers, playoffs, Tim Tebow. But if I'm being honest, if I'm being truthfully honest, one of the greatest games I've ever seen was Broncos versus Patriots. It was regular season. It wasn't the game that we played them in the playoffs, but it was regular season. It was in the snow in New England, and it was overtime. C.J. Anderson, like a 46-yard halfback toss to win the game, walk-off win. And then there's the Denver Broncos versus Cincinnati Bengals, the tipped pass that Brandon Stokely caught for 65 yards.
Yes.
With the commentators screaming his liver out.
Oh, Gus Johnson's a legend, man.
My 2 favorite are both college.
Okay.
The LSU Texas A&M 7 overtime 74-72 game.
Mm.
And then, of course, not to bring up the whole USC thing, but USC Texas's national championship game, still probably the greatest game I've ever watched.
If I had to talk NFL games, the Steelers beating the Broncos in the AFC Championship before they won Super Bowl 40 was a good one.
I don't even remember. Was that Jake Plummer at quarterback?
I think so. That was Roethlisberger's second year.
Oh yeah,
And-
it was Jake Plummer then. It was like I think we had an 8-8 season and somehow made the playoffs.
You made the playoffs and you hosted the AFC Championship.
We
So-
shouldn't.
Well, the Steelers were the 6th seed, so we had to go on the road for 3 games
I think
before the
we
Super Bowl.
Was the AFC West just that shit that year?
I don't think it was the fact that the West was that shit that year. It was just that since the Steelers got in with like either a 10-6 or an 11-5 record that year.
Oh no, that was the year that we went 11-5, and people thought Jake Plummer was elite. Never mind.
Yeah. Different year. But also Super Bowl 43. Phenomenal game. One of the best Super Bowls, I think, of all time. I understand.
Steelers cards, right?
That was Steelers cards, yeah. I know I'm biased
Antonio
because
Holmes.
the Steelers
Look.
won their 6th, but hey, listen, I
Catch that caused specific camera angles in football.
mhm. And he got both toes down, which is absolutely insane.
Was
Some
that
of the best
also the
play-
game with the James Harrison interception?
The
Yep,
James
same
Harrison
game.
99 yards.
Yep. Where he laid out on the field afterwards because he was exhausted from running 100 yards.
That was
Good thing
also
it was
the,
a half.
that was also the game of what I think 75-yard Larry Fitzgerald touchdown that everybody thought sealed the game.
Yeah, I don't know if it was 75 yards, but it was a long score where Fitzgerald just outran anybody and Polamalu couldn't catch him. Nobody could catch him.
In terms of greatest games, that does have to be up there. That has to be up there for like greatest Super Bowl games.
Yeah. I think so, at least.
Anything Notre Dame is great. So
Exactly. Listen, we got to talk about this. It pains me to talk about this. Benjamin Morrison out for the season with a hip injury. It's Notre Dame's been plagued by injuries, and they're still 5-1. It's just rough when your star defensive player, which we got a lot of stars on defense, like Xavier Watts is fantastic. We got good depth, but Benjamin Morrison is a one-of-a-kind defensive player. Like Kyle Hamilton right now in the NFL, who also played for Notre Dame and is doing fantastic with Ravens. Same type of player.
One of my brother's favorite Ravens right now is Kyle Hamilton.
Kyle Hamilton, when he was with Notre Dame, loved him to death. Absolutely loved him. He was a phenomenal defensive player. So I very much have those same feelings towards Benjamin
If
Morrison.
he keeps the trajectory he's on right now, how many Hall of Famers have come from Notre Dame? If
quite a
Kyle
few.
Hamilton keeps up the production, he's top 3, top 5 safety in the league right now. If he keeps that up his entire career.
Well, another defensive player right now that went to Notre Dame that's putting up incredible numbers and will likely have a Hall of Fame career, Harrison Smith for the Vikings.
Oh, yeah. Wait, he was from Notre Dame?
Yes.
Hitman. Yep.
Look, Harrison Smith, in my eyes, has to be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I mean, he's got the longevity. He's got the stats. To answer your question, Notre Dame has 14 players that are in the NFL Hall of Fame,
Okay.
which is it's tied for the most.
Oh, okay. And y'all an independent program. Look at you guys.
Um,
Ain't no SEC to get y'all names out there.
yeah, exactly. Looking at the SEC, okay, the top 10 schools with the most players, and this is according to the Pro Football Hall of Fame website, which I just pulled up, in order, Notre Dame tied with USC at 14. University of Michigan has 11. Yeah, University of Michigan has 11. It's going to be 12 once Brady goes in. Ohio State tied with.
Wait. You said University of Michigan. If I'm not mistaken, Brady was Michigan State Trojan, right?
No. Michigan State. You just combined like 3 teams there.
No, Michigan State, the Spartans. My bad.
No, he was a Michigan Wolverine.
Oh, okay. I thought he was a Spartan. That's my bad.
Nope. I probably wouldn't hear about it as much if he was a Spartan, but he was a Wolverine.
Okay. You see, you would know then.
So yeah, Notre Dame, USC tied for first, and third place is Michigan with 11. Tied for fourth is Ohio State and Pitt with 10.
Okay.
University of Miami has 9. Alabama is tied with Syracuse with 8.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm trying
And
to
then-
think of all the famers out of Syracuse. I feel bad.
Well, I can tell you. Also, Minnesota and Illinois are up there.
Okay. So we've got some, but again, these are probably players that played, a lot earlier in the league.
Well, you'll recognize some of the names on here. Jim Brown went to Syracuse. Larry
Nice.
Zonka. Larry Zonka went to Syracuse.
Hold on.
Mark-
Were they at the same time or no?
What's that?
Jim Brown and Sanka, are they 2 different eras?
I think they're probably around the same time.
Because could you imagine that backfield back in the day?
God.
Nobody's
Yeah.
stopping that run game.
Got Zonka blocking or running with Jim Brown.
Throwing to another Syracuse alum, Marvin Harrison.
Oh,
Okay, I didn't know he played for Syracuse.
But if we want to run down Notre Dame's Hall of Famers, just these few people, Jerome Bettis,
the
bus.
bus, baby.
Tim Brown,
Oh,
Uh,
Raiders legend.
Earl Lambeau,
Okay.
and there was this also quarterback who you may have heard. His name is Joe Montana.
Yes.
Just some random Joe.
But
Not like
those,
he accomplished anything in the league.
No.
yeah, it's not like he
Didn't
won 4 Super Bowls or anything.
decade.
But yeah, those are just a few of the names from Notre Dame.
Surprisingly, LSU's not higher on that list.
Listen, the next couple of years, because look at the wide receivers, look at the quarterbacks that they've put out.
Neighbors, once his career is over, is going to go in the Hall of Fame. Jay Jettis is
Bro.
obviously a first ballot Hall of Famer.
If Neighbors can stay healthy, he's got body control that it should not be available to a rookie.
Oh yeah. And if for the Notre Dame's sake, if one player can get away from the Browns, I mean he's already a good linebacker, Mr. Jeremiah Oso-Koromoa.
Man, if he imagine him and TJ Watt on the same team.
Oh,
So I do have a genuine question because
Yeah.
we were just talking about it. Amari Cooper got traded to the Bills.
Yes, he did.
There's rumors that the Browns might want to do away with Deshaun after the season, regardless of the cap hit that they're going to take. But are we looking at a full blow up and rebuild for not just the Browns, but also the Raiders, who have traded away Devontae Adams and Max Crosby, also rumored to potentially be a trading piece?
I mean, there's that rumor there. Crosby put out the tweet.
Crosby said he ain't leaving. He basically the Wolf of Wall Street.
Mhm. So I don't think Crosby's going to go. I think the Browns do need to, change a lot of things up because Deshaun Watson is clearly not their guy. I think we called that as soon as he signed that it was going to be an unmitigated disaster. I don't think we realized. I think in that instance of being an unmitigated disaster, he actually exceeded expectations. Because holy shit,
we all looked at the situation and went, with all the shit going around Watson right now, this is a bad move for the Browns. And then we saw him play football.
Yeah. So it's just an absolute horrible nightmare situation for the Browns.
There's only
Browns
two teams.
Go ahead.
There's only two teams who could take on that contract in the offseason, and that's Washington. Ain't no way in hell that's going to happen. And Carolina, Carolina's done enough things, but, I mean,
I don't think Carolina wants to. I think they'd rather pull somebody out of college than try and get a guy like Deshaun Watson. There were
they're going to fire their coach too, since everybody gets fired after their first year in Carolina.
That somebody tried to start a rumor of Deshaun Watson to Pittsburgh, and I swear to God, I'm going to punch that person. I do not want him.
If Pittsburgh needs anything, it's a goddamn wide receiver. And at this point, the only one that looks appetizing is Tyreek Hill. And I don't think you guys got the pieces to go get Tyreek Hill from Miami right now.
I will take Kenny Pickett with Matt Canada as offensive coordinator back before I take Deshaun Watson.
This is true.
I will take myself as quarterback with Jeff Meacham as offensive coordinator before I take Deshaun Watson.
That is must-see football right there.
Something tells me that Meach would actually be a damn good OC.
Oh, yeah.
He actually might, yeah. That might be more of a compliment than we realize.
I feel like Meach would actually be a damn good offensive coordinator.
There'd be a lot of running the ball.
Oh, no, right up the fucking gut.
I think I would be a decent offensive coordinator. I realized when I played the college football game, when I played Madden, I love controlling the offense. Defensively, I got no freaking clue what I'm doing. Offensively, I like drawing up schemes, trying to get the ball out to different people, trying to confuse the defense. That's what I like.
I like to think I'm really good on the defense, but I'm only really good on the defense in Madden. For some reason, these kids in college can't cover to save their fucking lives.
Well, no, because the NFL is the best of college, or at least it's supposed to be.
Right.
So it's tough to get these these freshmen, sophomores coming out of high school, expecting them to be elite defensive players. Not all of them are.
How is your road to glory going? Are you doing a dynasty yet?
I have not done dynasty yet. I'm still doing road to glory. I'm in my sophomore season, and I still haven't started. I'm driving myself nuts.
Didn't you choose underdog?
I might have. It's been a couple weeks since I've played the college football game. I haven't really had time to do it. Going on vacation in a couple weeks, so I don't know when I'll get back to it. Lots of stuff with the job, so super chat if you would. But yeah, I will get back to doing some more college
JB3. We did chit chat a little bit about the Lions. We mostly talked about Hutch and
also their demolition of the Dallas Cowboys.
But something that I didn't bring up that I did want to talk about on air. The Jets did just grant Hassan Reddick the ability to go and seek a trade. He's an edge rusher. The Lions just lost Hutch. Do we see the Lions go and trade to go and get Hassan Reddick to fill that edge rusher spot? The Jets would front the rest of that contract this year, if I'm not mistaken. So, but Hassan's already got millions built up in fines from the Jets. What if he just goes and gets incentives for the next 10 weeks and, is that spot filler that Detroit needed?
Well,
I mean,
negotiate that deal on his own because his agency fired him. So.
Yes, but he did get a new agent, apparently. I don't remember who it was, but he did go and get a new agent.
So, I think it would make the most sense. It's not going to affect the 53-man roster because Hutch is going to be on IR. So I don't see why that would be an issue.
And I like the fit. I like the fit perfectly. And then just imagine how that fit's going to be next season once he does come back, if that happens.
And then
And
you've got two edge rushers.
Yeah.
But let me tell you what, I just want to see Pittsburgh get another wide receiver because we cannot rely on our quarterback throwing only to George Pickens.
I would call Miami.
The downside to this, though, and as you said, Miami, the only person that you could probably go get that would bring that explosion, that boom to your team would be Tyreek.
I'd give him Jalen Waddle over Tyreek.
Okay, if they go for Jalen Waddle, that is a damn good route runner. That's a damn good set of hands, as opposed to just explosive speed.
But we also have Roman Wilson, who came off of injury. He played a few snaps last week, but they didn't really do anything with him. I don't know if it's a scheme problem with Arthur Smith or if they're just being so conservative that they don't want to take shots. I don't know why the Steelers offense is so gun shy all the time. And this is something it comes off very hypocritical for me to criticize the Steelers offense because I said they're better than they were with Matt Canada, which is absolutely true. But they are nowhere near the scoring offense that they were with like Ben Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, etc.
The Killer Bees were a little excessive on offense.
They were. And that was a team, again, that probably would have been in the Super Bowl had it not been for the Jesse James fiasco.
Yeah.
That changed a lot in the AFC playoffs.
I mean, why are y'all not utilizing more of your 3 tight end set? Because you got 3 tight ends that are, that could be top tier.
You've got 3 tight ends that are massive.
Oh, yeah. Each one of your tight ends are over 6'5", which is unprecedented.
One of them is the 6'10" Darnell Washington, who has 11-inch hands.
I like Darnell Washington. He's actually been the few catches he's made have been pretty spectacular. Pat Fryermuth, again, another stud on the offense. I don't know why we're not throwing to certain people. Like it feels very much like a 1 or 2 page playbook. It feels very, the game of life. You know how they have, or Monopoly. You know how they have a junior version, which is less complicated, and so you understand. I feel like that's the playbook the Steelers are running. Is like a junior version of an NFL playbook.
Are you guys getting Jaylen Warren back this week or no?
I thought Jaylen Warren was actually in this past game.
I think he was out last week. Either that or I dropped him and he wasn't on my fantasy team.
Well, I mean, Jaylen Warren I believe Jaylen Warren was in the game. He just wasn't as productive as Najee Harris was. Which I don't think any running back was as productive as Najee was. He was spectacular on Sunday. But, yeah, Jaylen Warren played a few snaps. It wasn't many. It was probably just snaps to give Najee a break. But, again, they're 4-2. I don't have a ton to bitch about as far as the Steelers go. Notre Dame, I don't have a ton to bitch about other than I wish they weren't as injury-plagued as they were this season.
I wish he would stop screwing us over, too.
Yeah, how the hell do we beat a team by 42 points and drop a spot in the friggin' 18?
The team who was below us, granted they beat a top 10 team who is overrated,
Yeah.
Miss, completely jumps over us 5 spots.
Mm-hmm.
So remind me, guys, the ranking system for college football is based on a committee, correct?
Correct. Well, eventually,
after a certain date, it is judged by a committee. So probably like the week of my birthday, probably on my birthday, they'll actually start doing the playoff rankings and whatever.
So this is a computer generation that has dropped you guys after winning that, or
no, it's the Associated Press has a bunch of people who vote, and there's also a coaches poll to vote who are the best teams in football. So that's what determines it as of now. The committee waits until like there are a few games played, everything's and the playoff picture is a little clearer. It's always murky until after conference championships anyway. So I don't know. Basically, the main concern for Notre Dame fans is they have to win out, which means we have to beat Georgia Tech. We have to beat Navy and Army, which are both undefeated. We also have to beat USC in Southern California.
Yeah.
The schedule ahead is not going to be a simple one.
Florida
That being
State
said,
will walk in the park.
yeah. That being said, Notre Dame, this team is a team that can run that table.
So
They
you two guys are college guys.
Oh
Yeah.
How do you feel about 2 of the 3 armed branches of the military being undefeated in college for the first time in how many years?
Yeah, good for them. Honestly, good for them. It's weird. Okay, it's very weird to see the military branches doing this well in football. It's not so weird for Navy because Navy has had some pretty good teams in the past.
Right.
It's weird for Army, in my opinion. I
really
don't
weird
remember.
for Army.
I mean, I actually remember Air Force being ranked at one point several years ago.
Yep.
But
Really?
yeah, Air Force was ranked. But Army and Navy both being undefeated is going to be very interesting as the season progresses. We actually get, after the Georgia Tech game this week, next Saturday, we actually play Navy. So that will be at Navy. Is that in Baltimore?
Yes.
So the Navy base is
Somewhere
in
right.
Baltimore.
It's right outside of Baltimore, in between Baltimore and DC. So
Now, the Army is like in Idaho, right?
I wonder if I could convince my wife. We're actually porting out of Baltimore for our cruise. I wonder if I could convince her to leave a day early.
Because I know Air Force plays out of Colorado Springs.
Yeah. Well, it's like I told you last week on the show. There's Navy plays in different bases. It's not always Baltimore.
It's
They
not
played in other places.
And what's
Um,
weird about both of those schools is they're in a Power 5 now. So,
Wait, they are?
yeah, they're in the American, which is a part of the Power 5.
Okay.
So, they both have a chance to make the college football playoff.
Yeah.
It's going to be I think, it's going to come down to a 3-way race between Navy, Army, and Tulane for that spot out of the American. So,
It'd be very. Listen, this is the first year with the 12-team playoff, so it's going to be. I'm sure that a lot of kinks are going to be worked out in the system,
oh, yeah.
and there's going to be a lot of controversy with it. Like there always is. I mean, there was controversy with the BCS. There's controversy with the 4-team playoff. I'm sure there's going to be controversy with this, even though they're having 8 more teams in it. So,
How much controversy you think is going to come with the Pac-12 getting that big expansion to them?
Oh, that's one thing that's weird because, there's a lot of schools who are signing on to this Pac-12 deal who are upset because Gonzaga's also a part of this deal.
Yeah,
they're
Gonzaga is coming into an actual conference.
Yeah, and they're getting football revenue money, even though they don't have a football team. So it's upsetting a lot of people. But who's to say that they don't take that football revenue money and build another
build a team?
Exactly. With the world
It's
of
not hard to
NIL.
think about that.
I mean, look how good they do at basketball, bro. I mean, you
got
think
money.
they don't have boosters who will pay for football?
They
Come
got
on,
money.
man.
somebody want to explain to me though how Cal and Stanford are in the Atlantic Coast Conference?
I feel like there was just a fuck up whenever they brought Cal into the ACC.
Here's the thing: like the Big 12 has been like the Big 16 or 20 for years. The names of these conferences need to adapt with the times because they're obviously outdated with the state of college football the way it is. They need to like come up with something because these names are no longer true. You cannot have two teams on the West Coast in the Atlantic Coast Conference. You just can't do it.
The Pac-12 was 2 teams for how long?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I feel like that's a fairly recent change, though.
Yeah, I was about to say because I believe the Pac-12 was a full conference.
It was because that was like USC, UCLA, you know, a whole bunch of them. So
Stanford.
Stanford, Oregon was in the Pac-12.
Yep, Oregon State,
I was gonna say Oregon and
Washington State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go. We did this entire show about football.
Do you want to run through the week 8 games real quick or week 7 games?
We got a couple minutes before Dynamite, but we can run through them real quick. We can do lightning fast picks. I know who you guys are picking for the Broncos.
Yeah,
We know who
good.
you guys are picking for the Broncos.
I am picking. Okay, here's the controversy of the world. I'm picking Denver Thursday night.
Whoa, swerve!
You're actually going Denver?
I want Denver to win because Dennis Allen needs to kick rocks.
Okay, you see, I'm going Denver because of the faithless optimism that I have. Greg?
There you go. I'm going the Saints. I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair. Patriots Jaguars, real quick.
Patriots.
Pats Jags. I think a week in Jacksonville or a week in London is going to get the Jacksonville Jaguars up and running. I go Jacksonville.
Yeah, I feel like London is like the black hole for teams, so Jaguars for me. Lions Vikings.
Vikings.
My gambling says Detroit.
I'm going to say Detroit too. I think the Vikings take a loss here. Titans Bills.
Bills.
As much as I say Josh Allen is overrated, I'm going the Bills here.
Yeah, it's going to be the Bills. Titans need some help. Dolphins Colts.
If Joe Flacco plays, then Colts. If Joe Flacco doesn't play, they lose.
I believe AR-15 is playing, but regardless, I'm going Indianapolis.
I'm going to go Colts as well. Lightning quick with these because Dynamite's already started. Seahawks Falcons.
Seahawks.
I'm going to go Falcons on that one. Texans Packers.
Houston.
I'm going to go Green Bay. I think Jordan Love's doing pretty well. Bengals Browns.
Bengals.
I'm going Cincy.
I'm going for Cleveland for the lulz. Eagles Giants.
Giants.
Yeah, I'll say the Giants as well. Raiders Rams.
Oh, who cares?
I went Vegas here.
I'll go with the Rams. Coming off a bye.
I'll go with the Rams too, but it should be a tie.
It might be. Panthers Commanders.
Commanders.
Commies.
Yeah, Commanders. I think that one's pretty easy. Chiefs 49ers.
Woo! See, if CMC was playing, I'd go 49ers, but well, I still go 49ers. Somebody needs to beat Kansas City. Give me the Niners.
It's San Francisco's defense.
I think the Chiefs are going to overcome it. I do. I don't think the Niners are the teams to beat the Chiefs. Jets Steelers.
Devontae Adams just went over there. I'm going Jets.
Steelers on a short week for the Jets.
All right, I'll go the Steelers as well. I think it's going to come down to like a last-second field goal. Ravens Buccaneers.
Ooh, Ravens.
Buccaneers.
I'm also going to go to the Buccaneers. I think Baker Mayfield's going to have another big game. Finally, final Monday night game: Chargers Cardinals.
Ooh,
The Judges.
Chargers.
Yeah.
Harbaugh.
I think it's got to be the Chargers as well. All right. Thank you so much, Zach, for joining us this week on the Greg Cherry Show. Maddie, as always, I will be seeing you later for our trivia bit.
Four
And-
Sides of the Ring trivia. Go to YouTube. Find us there later tonight, about 2 hours.
Yep. So go enjoy Dynamite. Have a good night. Don't be a jag, and we'll see you next week on the Greg Cherry Show. Have a good night. I can't get out of this because I'm in full screen.